Hi, this is Peg Larson at the Capitol. There was quite a contentious session on Saturday afternoon when they did the education finance bill on the House floor. It actually has very little money for the formula. That didn't change at all. They spend $157 million. It's House File 844. The Senate has $350 million to spend, and the governor actually is asking for $695 million to spend. Most of his is in early childhood. It passed the floor 69 to 61, mostly on party lines. However, Representative Uglum from Chaplin, Republican, voted against the bill. Representative Davney was absent for a family function, so his vote wasn't on the board either. But it was interesting that it would be that close. There were a lot of barbs thrown back and forth. There were 17 amendments that were offered. 3 were taken on, and I will tell you what they are, and I'm going to read them just to make sure that they're clear. They delay the 2016-17 implementation of funding policy modification to the state's Achievement Integration Program for the Minnesota program. And that was a big one because that was put into the House bill without a hearing in the House committee. The second one is modify funding for the Board of Teaching to license teachers that have had 3 years of a temporary license and have done well. They can go ahead and license them. And the third one is creation of a policy that would require schools to have restrooms, locker and changing rooms, and showers accessible by multiple students at the same time to be designated for use by students who are either male or female. And that was really quite a contentious battle on the floor. In the House, there are a few, there's at least one transgender person, and there are some people that GLBT, and it was not a pretty discussion. So those 3 amendments did go on. The rest of them were offered and did not go on. The House increased, as I said, education funding for the formula by 0.6%. $30 million in early learning scholarships, and another 10 for other programs we spoke about last week, Parent Aware and some other ones. They really targeted their early learning scholarships to people of low income and people they felt needed it more. Chair Loon actually said that it's not how much money you spend on education, it's how you spend your money. And that's how we're going to kind of leave it for the House. The Senate bill just went through taxes this morning. It zipped through. And in the Senate bill is the career and technical funding that Senator Senjum had as his bill and Representative Pearson has as the House bill. And between Senator Senjum and Senator Nelson, the Chair Uyghur, said that yes, he would put in funding for that. And it's $1.6 million in grant money. So that was quite an achievement for Rochester. The Senate has put in $1.6 million for career and technical. It's on the levy spreadsheet. And as I said before, that was thanks to the good work of Senator Senjum and Senator Nelson. Both worked very hard to convince Chair Uyghur to do that. And that's quite a big thing for us. And now we will work with Representative Pearson to see if he can get Chair Loon to accept it in conference committee. Right now, the Senate funding bill will be on the floor on Wednesday. I talked to one of the staff, and they think they'll probably start the conference committees on Friday. He knows that the Senate plans on being here all weekend. And to be very honest with you, the bills are like night and day. So I don't know where their starting off point is going to be, but it's going to be a very interesting conference committee. I'm sure there'll be long hours. They have 3 weeks left, and there is talk of special session. Senator Senjum was quoted in the paper this morning, and he said this was the worst session. That's not exactly what he said, but he said that this is the worst session that he has ever been through, and I would have to agree with him. This is the most political session that I've ever been through. And he also mentioned the special session words, which gets everybody's attention, and that other people are talking about it also. And the question is, if they can't get it done by the 18th, can they get it done on the 19th, or would they wait a while? They really don't have much time to wait because of the construction. Should be interesting. And here's John.
Hello everybody. There's 20 days left for the Minnesota legislature to finish their work. They're behind schedule. There are immense differences between their positions on all the major spending bills. They are at risk right now. There's a term OTE, overtaken by events. They've really got to focus and make some compromises if they're going to get out of here before the constitutional deadline. So that's one big concern that we all have. This is the time of year where the decision-making process becomes concentrated in the hands of very few people. There's probably going to be ultimately about 5 people that are going to be talking behind closed doors in the next 20 days to work out these differences or not work out these differences. And of course you'd have the governor, the majority leader, minority leader, speaker, and majority leader in the House, and they would bring people in who chair their major committees for consultation, but it is those 5 people that are going to either end this session on time or not end the session on time. Another concern I have, not just for this session, and in addition to the concern I have about the small targets for E12 education in the House in particular, is this, the House Transportation Bill spends $2 billion over the next 10 years on transportation, but it relies heavily on borrowing, which isn't so much a problem for us, but they're using general fund money instead of dedicated funds. And that means the economy is not, on cruise control. It's going to have its ups and downs. We've been in a period of growth for a long time. There could be a recession in the next couple of years. And if the transportation bill is going to be competing with public education for those dollars, it's going to be a fight. And so that's another thing that concerns me as we head into this end of the session. I hope it's the end of the session. Stay tuned. We'll be back with you next week to let you know how some of this plays out.